Also, Natural Hypertrophy asked that anyone responding to this video ask who they want to respond to them. So I would like to hear from Dave McConey, Tom Lazarick, Stand to Strength.
You're incredible. We need your help.
Showtime. So you want to know what I wish I knew when I first started lifting? Well, as an expert in the art of failure, I can promise you that there's no shortage of things that I can mention, but I just want to kind of go through the main things that come to mind. Starting with number one, and that is getting smarter is crucial, but you shouldn't learn more than you can actually apply. I was heavily interested in proper programming. I was looking into the programs of many different bodybuilders on bodybuilding.com, different websites, different forums every now and then, different YouTube channels that were around at the time. And I just kept reading, watching, and going through all the different content and couldn't really stick with anything for quite a long time. That made much of my first couple months very confusing and very non-productive. The only thing that really spoke to me making progress was just the fact that I kept working out, but I didn't really know what I was doing because I just kept finding something wrong with it in some type of way and kept finding some other new shiny object to kind of latch onto. You shouldn't do that. Keep things as simple as possible for as long as possible. Have the discipline to pick something, stick with it, and then just change one thing at a time. An analogy that comes to mind is you give a senior year math test to a fifth grader. They won't know what the hell they're looking at. And being completely honest, neither did I. There's a lot of things that you need to learn, experiment with, and experience to make sense of a lot of the information that's out there and make it relevant to you. Remember, the basics will take you far, and they will take you to that place where all that other knowledge and all that other information is incredibly necessary. But don't skip that entire step just to rush to that endpoint. Get comfortable with staying consistent. Number two, staying fit is a benefit.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And not worth trading away. A hyper-specialized novice is still a novice. If you just forget or forego your diet, doing your cardio just to get bigger and stronger, this is a recipe for unnecessary fat gain. I can promise you that I did this myself. The first time I hit a 275 bench press was when I weighed 275. Guess where my starting point was? Around 190, 200-ish, and my max bench at the time was about the same. I maintained a 1-to-1 ratio with my bench press and my body weight, but just by being bigger, I had the illusion that I was getting stronger. Not the case. Don't make that mistake. You can do cardio, eat a healthful diet, and do a slow bulk and make significant improvements to your strength and to your physique. Number three, smart people with credentials or qualifications can lie too.
What? What do you mean you're not lucky?
You lied to me?
And what are you, a sheep?
In fact, because they are smarter, they are better at lying than other people are. You have to pay attention. You have to compare what they say with many other people. The benefit to YouTube Fitness is the fact that there are a lot of different opinions out there. While the quality of the opinions is not always equal, there is going to be an overwhelming consensus, and you have to be wary of people who constantly try to reinvent the wheel or constantly try to tear down well-established, time-tested methods of getting bigger and getting stronger. Number four. Sometimes the best looking people have the worst information. A beauty pageant winner can't tell you how or why they're beautiful. A gifted athlete cannot tell you what makes them gifted or how to get to their level. You have to go through trial and error just like everyone else. Number five, a diet is not a temporary thing. Yes, you should modify your diet in such a way that you get the results you're looking for, but make sure to adjust for sustainability. You can lose over 100 pounds and never learn how to keep it off. That is exactly what I went through, and I still pay for it to this day. Be sure that you are learning how to eat at your new body weights. Maintenance is a very underrated skill. Number 6. The most successful lifters modify and adjust their training, but they rarely overhaul it. Look at all of the options out there in the world for different programs, different training styles, what else have you. Look at all the options, pick the one that interests you the most and stick to it. Over time, I want you to identify your likes, your dislikes, and change the things that are not working and the things that you don't enjoy. That is what's going to keep you progressing in the long term. The number one mistake that you can make here is just throwing out the entire program and not knowing how to go from where you're at right now to the next point that is needed to progress. Number 7, program hopping is worse than a suboptimal program. This kind of builds off of my previous point, but if you start out with something like starting strength, Grayskull LP, strong lifts, 531, or even other 5x5 based programs or other programs available, none of them are going to be the program that you keep with you from the day you start lifting to the day you die. There are going to be changes that you make that refer to best practices as they come to be known and advocated, but then also best practices as they apply to your own self-study, your own self-experimentation. The worst thing you can do is never give yourself that opportunity. Every program has some suboptimal element to it or some imperfection that another program claims to fix. Don't make these issues any worse by not following any one program through long enough. Simple programs work well because they teach you how to be consistent, and that's really where the magic is. Number 8, don't let enthusiasm and effort get separated from progress. A quote that I like to use is that not everyone who works hard succeeds, but no one who has ever succeeded did not work hard. Meaning, yes, hard work is 100% necessary to actually making progress and actually having success in the gym, but it's not the only thing. It is not the only determining factor of whether or not you make progress or succeed. You do have to learn, you do have to track, you have to stay consistent, and you have to make improvements when necessary and having the ability to know the difference. You have to evolve your training over time as your needs evolve as well. Now, this might sound complicated, but I'm really just trying to get the point across that you can't just go in and train just based on your feelings. You can put an incredibly hard effort into a top set, but that is not the same as sticking to a plan of progression for a long amount of time. Number 9, you don't need to train every day to have a good, strong body, but being active every day is key for a healthy mind. So go for a walk, clean your room, clean your house, clean something, clean your car. Do a sport, get involved in something outside of your regular responsibilities and regular day-to-day life. Have something to live for. It will make things much easier in terms of activity, but also the quality of your life will improve as a result. Number 10, there is no such thing as an unimportant muscle. All muscles need to be trained. The difference between muscles is in degree rather than kind. If you go online, there's going to be these armchair powerlifters who think that there's 2 categories of muscles: important muscles and unimportant muscles. Unimportant muscles don't need to be trained, and important muscles get your body the most jacked and have some carryover to those unimportant muscles. That is entirely shitty reasoning. An important muscle must be trained. There are no unimportant muscles, so all muscles should be trained. Now, how do we kind of determine where most of our time and effort should go? That's where the difference is. Some muscles are not as important as others, but that will depend on your needs and your wants. Number 11, supplements are literally useless. Any benefit that you can get from them is found better somewhere else. If you are tired, you don't need more caffeine, you need more sleep and a better hydration plan. If you are low on protein, you just need to eat more food. And even if you follow a diet that has certain restrictions, there are still ways that you can go about it. And yes, a protein supplement can be useful there, but it is not as potent as food is. If you're not getting stronger, there is an issue in your program. A supplement will fix none of these things, and they cost way more than they should, and they give back way less than they promise. Number 12, not making a distinction between good and bad foods. Now, you shouldn't vilify certain macronutrients. You do need your carbs, you do need your fats, you do need to eat protein. You need a balanced diet of these 3 macronutrients. Fats aren't evil, carbs aren't evil, protein isn't evil, and there's no evil food out there, but there are better or worse decisions as they pertain to you. One issue that I have made, and many others are making as well, is that we don't have a line in the sand of what is good and what is bad. If all foods are equal, yes, you will never cheat on your diet, but that just means you're cheating on your diet all the time without you knowing it. You feigning ignorance of good or bad foods doesn't change whether or not the food is actually good or bad. How a food impacts your body is independent from your feelings about that food. Now, because I'm coming from a different side of things, where I had many eating disorders, many coping mechanisms surrounding food, and a very unhealthy relationship with food, that's where I'm kind of coming with this advice. I do understand how difficult it is. And when I make this analogy, I'm not saying that food is a drug, but we have to admit that it activates similar parts of the brain to someone who has a drug addiction. In my opinion, the difference between a food and a drug is whether or not you can moderate it. The difference between a good and bad food is the same. If you know someone who has a drug addiction, or maybe has an alcohol addiction, they can't moderate those things. You don't have a moderate amount of crack. You don't have a moderate amount of alcohol if you have an alcohol problem. Food isn't exactly like that, but it isn't exactly unlike that. There are some foods that are incredibly bad for you, but it's not a universal. So for example, if a certain food makes you throw out your entire diet, if it makes you catastrophize and give up, and it causes you to make worse and worse decisions in your diet, that is a bad food, and that is a food you should stay away from. Number 13, don't compare yourself to others and try to catch up. If you do this, you will never feel good about yourself, and you will never be your best. You travel further when chasing your goals than when chasing another person. That person that you're comparing yourself to, they don't even know that you're there behind them. They are not running a race to become better than you, faster than you can. Focus on yourself. We are on a similar path, but that doesn't mean we are racing against one another. Number 14, a recomp is not a recomp if you don't actually improve somehow. Because the weight on the scale is not changing all that much, something else has to. So you better be sure to be taking pictures, you should be taking measurements, you should be getting stronger on a pretty regular basis. The benefit of cutting and bulking is that they are very clear modes of progression. You know when you are losing weight successfully. You know when you are bulking successfully. But when it comes to a recomp, it's a little bit more complicated, so you need to be a bit more intelligent and diligent with your measuring and tracking. A really big and common fear when it comes to cutting and bulking is that you will lose whatever you gained from either phase. In a cut, you lost some fat and you finally saw your abs, and you're scared that if you bulk, you're going to lose them. If you bulk responsibly, you can keep your abs. Or if you bulked up properly and you gained all this new strength and you're scared to lose that, and so you don't want to cut, any strength that you have gained during that bulk will come back to you the moment you finish that cut and get back on to a bulking program. Number 15, new exercises don't automatically mean better exercises. You still need to apply consistency and progressive overload on them. If the exercise is good and it's new to you, that novelty aspect can be very useful and beneficial, but the most important thing is still being consistent. Now, there's an other side to this where there are some influencers out there who literally pull new exercise variations out of their ass, and as a result, those exercises are actual shit. And they are not going to solve the problems in your physique. They are not going to solve the problems in your life. You need to pick a good, time-tested handful of good exercises and apply yourself to them. Number 16, the difference between people who make progress over the long run and those who don't is that the ones who make progress over the long term are comfortable with imperfection. They don't care if their schedule is not optimal or perfect. They don't care if they don't have the perfect equipment. They don't care if they have the perfect program. They don't care if they have the perfect starting point. They just keep working. They just keep moving forward. They keep doing things as business as usual, being intelligent and being diligent with their training. Doing that is what's going to separate someone from being good to great. How well can you apply yourself when things are not going well? Number 17, read books. Any kind of book, comic books, manga, nonfiction, fiction, the subtitles in anime, I don't really care, but just read something. Your brain is just as important as your body, and reading requires the same amount of focus and intention as proper training. A close second best is going to be listening, whether that be to lectures, audiobooks, or what else have you. Number 18, you are doing better than you think. Going to the gym is a big step towards self-improvement, and it's still pretty uncommon. The average person is not fit. The average person is not in the gym. The more we get involved in the gym, the more our world shrinks to just the people who work out. And as a result, it's very easy to put ourselves on the bottom rung of that ladder and think that we're not as good as other people. But if you look around and really broaden your scope, you'll see that you're actually doing incredibly well. And wherever you're at right now, it's not like you're going to stay there. If you continue to make progress, if you continue to work hard, you will continue to move forward, and you'll find yourself in better and better places as time goes on. The biggest differentiating factor between lifters really is just time. The bigger, stronger lifters have likely been training longer than you have. And this kind of brings steroids into the discussion a little bit, and maybe even genetics to an extent, where genetics, it gives you a head start above other people. But steroids, it's literally you injecting time into your muscles. You're injecting workouts that you didn't do yet into your muscles right now. Time is going to pass no matter what. What are you going to do with it? Are you actually going to be moving forward with the time you're given? Number 19, pause your pressing, control your squatting, and control your hinging. Essentially, have good form and good range of motion on every exercise. It isn't progress if the quality of your reps and sets or the standards you hold yourself to change. Number 20, not prioritizing different goals and recognizing the conflicts between them. Size and strength, it's pretty easy to mix together simply because there's a ton of overlap between the two. The biggest difference between size and strength training is not between them itself. It's more so the different phases that go along with it. Are you in a base phase or a peak phase? Are you in a cut or a bulk? Cuts and bulks, bases and peaks pull in very different directions. But size and strength doesn't really. Size and strength is more like a road. If you're on that path, regardless of the final endpoint, you're going to have very similar steps along the way. Now, when it comes to including other activities such as MMA, running, hiking, they won't impact you too much. The body is very durable, but the more seriously you take something and the more you measure and track and you are finding that something is affecting it, make sure that you're only paying the price you're willing to pay. Number 21, you hate a lift because you suck at it and you haven't found the right way to train it. But here's the kicker to that. The answer you need is most likely where you least want to look. My squat sucks. I hate doing high rep squat work. What do I most need to do? I most need to build a base of work and adapt to it, meaning I do need to spend some time in higher rep phases before I go into that lower rep work. It does suck, but it's something you do need to overcome if you actually do want to make progress with whatever it is that you hate. Number 22, exercise is corrective. When I was taking my personal training cert, there was a whole chapter on corrective exercise. And I'm not saying that doesn't have a place, but if you are healthy, your program should help you keep you that way. You can fit all of your rehab and prehab work into a 5 to 10 minute warm up at the start of your workout if you want, or you can just do it in between your sets and you should be fine. Your program shouldn't be breaking you down so much that your quality of life outside the gym is actually decreasing. Number 23, ask for help in the gym, in life. There are people out there who are willing to help you if you are willing to ask. Get coaching. A good coach will help you spend less time being stupid and overthinking things. I can promise you it really helps orient your thoughts and really helps you connect all the dots of all the different knowledge that's out there and probably is scattered around in your brain. Number 24, be okay with being wrong. Expose yourself to the possibilities of you being wrong. The faster you know that you are wrong, the faster you can move on and move forward in the right direction. It's okay to be wrong. And 25, the final point, be kind, be humble, especially to yourself. The gym is a place to get better. You can't hate your way to a better you. Be a good friend to yourself. A good friend is someone who expects good from you. A good friend doesn't talk behind your back or betray you, and they most certainly don't let you betray yourself. Make friends with who you are and who you want to be. Show compassion to yourself, but also believe in yourself that you can be more. Everyone you see in the gym is on a very similar journey. It may look different and it may take them more times, more attempts to make progress, but it doesn't make them any less worthy of improvement than you. We all start somewhere. We all have had our highs and lows and our time at the bottom. Every person who wants to get better makes mistakes, because if a person is going to be anything, if a person is going to make a change, if a person is going to get better, they will make mistakes along the way. The best we can do is move forward. The righteous path is narrow, but it is wide enough for us to help each other and not tear anyone down. Now that I've shared with you my 25 mistakes and the things that I wish I learned when I first started lifting, I want to hear from you. Leave your mistakes and things that you wish you knew in the comment section below. And I also want to hear from Davin May Holmes at Smart Simple Fit, John Atala, Sam Sheether, and Freaky D. Now, when it comes to Freaky D, I'm sure he could just share a community post saying how he already did this a couple years ago, because he's just ahead of the curve on literally everything. But I'd be happy to learn more from him and from everyone else inside the community. So please leave what you wish to pass on to others in the comment section below. And I thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.